Hey guys, Todd Turnwald here with Senior Life in the Turnwald Group. We are super excited to bring another show to you called Coach's Corner. As you guys seen the last couple of weeks, we started a show called Rising Stars, where we're bringing some really talented agents out there to you guys and providing some content, showing you how they're winning. The next thing that we want to do is bring some coaching to you guys. So I've coached high school basketball for 20 plus years. That was something I was very, very passionate about. Now I have transitioned that passion into coaching insurance agents. And when I got in the business, I really learned a lot by studying on YouTube. Different final expense guys, sales. So my mission here is to try to give back some and bring some of this content to YouTube where guys can jump on and learn without always being recruited. That's really the mission here, is to get more content driven, giving some advice, some things that I've come across to help make things a little bit easier for yourselves. So that's what we're trying to do here. And we've gotten a lot of really good feedback from our other show. So this is the next direction that we're going to go. So we're excited about that. We're shooting for once a week to bring some good value to you guys. But the number one thing that we're going to talk about first and foremost, I deal a lot with final expense insurance. We've got agents that do Medicare as well. It's an industry that I absolutely love. And there's a lot of strategies out there. There's a lot of different ways to do things. And I've learned from some very good people, and I continue to do so. But the number one thing, above all else, we can talk presentation, we can talk door knocking, we can talk selling over the phone appointments, objections, how to close. We can talk about all of that stuff. But if we don't talk about this first thing, none of that stuff matters. All right. So like the number one thing that I've seen since 2015 with agents, they may talk about, well, my presentation's not very good, or the leads aren't great, or I'm driving too far, or this, that, or the next thing. Really, when it comes down, push comes to shove, it really comes down to one thing, and it's your mindset. And I can tell you factually, I felt like I've been pretty mentally tough all throughout. But I've started when I really got dialed in on this part of my career, things started changing, right? So I know mindset is so cliche. Everybody's talking about it, and I know some of you guys are watching right now. Just stick with me here. Because I'm one of those guys that, like, when I look at myself, I'm like a pretty average guy. Didn't do great in school. Really wasn't important to me. Sports was very important to me. Not that I didn't try, I just wasn't into it. School wasn't my thing until I got to college, where I was told it needed to be my thing. And I made it work out. All that I'm sharing here is you can learn, you can listen, you can do all these things, right? And there's going to be all great advice. But the number one thing that you have to protect is yourself mentally, right? You have got to have that mindset that nothing is going to disrupt what you're doing, because we're in a position right now in this country where people are losing jobs, gas is outrageous, everything's going up, right? And if you allow this stuff to affect you mentally, it's going to affect your sales, which is going to affect your income in the company that you're with. It's going to affect a lot of things. So the more you can protect that, the better off you're going to be. So talk to you guys a little bit about some things that I've learned, the past a year or so. I think that's when things really started taking off for me. Each year that I've been in this business, I've increased my income, and I've I've done some really good things. I'm not where I want to be at all, but I know the direction that I'm going is pretty damn good. And again, I'm a guy who, you guys have heard me say this, I think I graduated like 48 out of 50. So I was in the top 50 in my class. The only issue was there was only 50 of us. All right. So, I think I was a staggering 48 out of 50. However, like I tell my kids, I think I turned out okay. All right. But when we talk about mindset, how we can really, like, we can read, we can do all we can, get on YouTube and learn all kinds of stuff, but it really comes down to you. So a couple things that I really want to hone in on that have helped me tremendously is not to be fraudulent. Okay, so like that really helps your mindset right away. And what I mean by that is do the things that you're say that you're going to do, right? So like the littlest things that I have paid attention to, because our business is going very, very well. So what I realize is I've got to be razor sharp mentally. What are some of the things that are causing me to be in maybe a bad mood or short fused? I've been notorious for that. And I started realizing what I was putting into my body was causing me to not feel good about myself, feel good about what I was doing, and I needed to get away from that. So I turned to like Andy Frisella, not saying you got to do 75 hard, but that has made a really, really big impact on me. Again, that takes a lot, so I'm not saying you got to do that, but what you need to pay attention to is what am I putting in to my body, because that will affect your mindset. So like right now, if you're listen, I know it's not nice to judge people. If you're in sales, everybody that you come across, it doesn't matter if they're low income, middle income, or high income, everybody's judging you, right? And Brad Lee talks about that a lot. Everybody is judging you. So what I have found when I was gaining weight, I mentally wasn't feeling great about myself. I'd get down. I would just not be comfortable. Things, my clothes didn't fit right, and I just didn't feel confident. And I don't care who it is, if you're not in good shape, there's very few people that I know that have extreme confidence and they're overweight. So I feel like if you're in a position where you need to lose some weight, do it. Because I think and here's what I've experienced. The people that I'm working with right now, one guy lost close to 100 pounds. And this guy is getting himself so dialed in, it's ridiculous. So that is factually happening. So what I want to share with you guys is if you really want to do big things, and you're really passionate and you're putting in all the time, you're studying, you're recruiting, you're making a lot of sales, whatever it is that you're doing, I can promise you're not going to do big things unless you start eating properly. Okay, and I've really cut out. When I was doing 75 hard, obviously there's no alcohol, and I'm not big into that in the first place. But not saying I'm perfect or anything like that. I've had a couple drinks during vacation, shortly after, and now I'm dialed back in again. So I think you need to be very cautious on what you eat, what you drink. Because this will affect you. It's going to affect your business, right? So being cautious of that. And the other big thing is, like in 75 hard, you got to drink a gallon of water, okay? That's a lot. But what that does, what I was finding is, like, when I was going through that, like, I was so on point. Like, my game was airtight. I was drinking a gallon of water every day, and like on vacation and like the week after, I started noticing, like, man, I'm not as sharp, right? So getting back into those habits of, I would really push yourself to drink a gallon of water a day. I would really be cautious of eating a lot of junk, right? If you want to be a high performer, if you want to be a peak performer and have some fantastic mental toughness, where really nothing can disrupt that, it starts there. And I'd like to say I'm proof of that, right? And I can speak to you and not feel fraudulent because those are the things that I'm doing, right? That all affects your mindset, right? So, do we have perfect days every day? Absolutely not. Do we have times where it's like, you get kind of frustrated? Absolutely. Here's what I can share with you. Back when I didn't really care what I ate, I would drink or eat whatever I really wanted. Every time that there was a little issue or even a big issue, I made it an even bigger issue than what it was. Very short fused, felt very negative immediately. Why? Because I didn't feel good about me, right? So I think what you're going to see and again, you hear it all the time. So here's what I can say. Like, I'm not that big celebrity. I'm a normal person just like yourself. And I'm seeing very nice size increases, whether it be in my income, my family life, the people around me. We're all going in the same direction, right? And it's in a positive direction. But it stems back to that. So I feel like I'm in a lot better mood. If things happen, I don't immediately, fly off the handle. I'm a lot more level, right? But that's because of what I'm putting in my body. And I'm not in perfect shape yet. I may not ever be in perfect shape. But if I'm cognizant of what I'm doing and what I'm putting in my body, it's definitely going to help. So I urge you, again, you don't have to be perfect here and you don't have to do 75 hard, but you will find your success will be expedited if you start there. Okay, if you start there, because everybody's going to have some personal issues. You're going to have issues with your spouse. You're going to have issues with your neighbors. You're going to have issues with our country, gas prices, food prices, everything. You're going to have some issues there. No one is immune to that, right? But how you handle those problems is going to affect you and your business, right? So the more level that you can stay, the more mentally focused that you can stay, some things that are really big issues aren't going to be that big of an issue for you. And you're going to be in a lot better mood. My kids see that. My wife sees that. Things that used to would make me so upset, that was it really what had just happened, or is it because I wasn't happy with me, right? So no one's perfect. Everyone's got something that made a mistake or whatever it is. Quit being pissed off at everybody, right? Quit being pissed off and quit all the crap, because really what it comes down to is you're not happy with you, okay? So you got to start getting happy with you first, right? And I'm not being preachy. This is a normal guy, myself, not number one in his class, not valedictorian, but the only thing that I work my tail off, right? And I put myself around very positive people. I'm not, I don't have the goal of having, just a huge circle of where I try to be everybody's friend. I want to treat people good, the best that I can. I've got a close, tight-knit group of people that I confide in, and that's who I spend most of my time with. And I think that they're enjoying being around me because of a mental shift that I continue to make, right? So be very, this week, right? And for those that are watching, we may only get one or two people that actually do this. But I would challenge you, today's Tuesday. What I would do is I would challenge you for the rest of this week to start making some adjustments in what you eat, right? Cut out the junk. Like, what I'm putting in, is it helping me or hurting me? Because if you want to do big things, the more crap you eat, the less chance the more chance you have of some major health issues. So why would you want to put all that work in and then not be around to enjoy it, right? That don't make sense, right? And that's kind of when the light bulb, like, man, I'm working my tail off. I want to enjoy this with my kids. I want to enjoy this with the people that I'm surrounding myself with. And you keep eating junk, you're going to keep turning people away. And really, on the alcohol side, I don't want to put myself on a high horse. I'll never do that. But again, is that helping or hurting? Not saying you got to cut it out, all of it, but when you start looking at some things, it does a lot of harm, right? So let's start there. Let's start there this week on making some shifts in what you're putting into you. We will talk about, especially if you're in final expense, I'll give you my input. And I'm not saying I'm right and who you're working with is wrong. I'm going to share with you what has worked for me. I have not made very many changes since 2015 when I got into business. So I know my system works. I know that I'm very efficient, profitable, and I'm taking other agents and doing the exact same thing, where they're becoming very efficient. They're if they follow that system, they have less burnout, right? So we want to be efficient, we want to be profitable, but before we get to all that, like we can talk about all that stuff and overcoming objections. But I'm telling you right now, if you're here's the best advice I can give, is like when I'm coaching a couple of my guys kind of intently, we're focusing really on coaching, like not just giving some advice and some training tips, like really coaching them, which I do on Friday mornings. We're talking about like really getting dialed in all the way around, and what I share with them is this ain't no damn buffet. Like, you can't pick and choose what you want to listen to and then think it's going to work, right? Kind of like Andy Frisella on 75 Hard. You don't say, well, I'll do 2 of these 5 things, I'm going to call it 75 Hard, and I want the results. It don't work that way. So kind of the same with this. Like, I want to help as many that we possibly can, and there might only be one of you, right? And I hope there's more, but you got to look at it like, man, if I want results, if I want to make a shift, it ain't no damn buffet, right? It's here's what you got. And if you don't like what you're hearing, that's okay. But we will have people that do, and I'm not looking really for anything in return, right? So I'm excited about this. I would love if we get one person, if I get one person, whether it's next week or a month from now, 2 months from now, that come back to me, like I've received already on the Rising Stars. People that I've never spoken to them ever in my life are reaching out like, how can I get more of this? Like, I'm really stagnant. He's not in insurance. I've been really stagnant with what I'm doing. I need pushed. I need that fire back. Like, that to me is all worth it, right? So take the first step, and let's be very cognitive of what we're eating, what we're drinking. Let's start there. And start recognizing the shift that you're going to have mentally. Don't worry about what you've done in the past. Don't worry about let's start today. All right, let's start today and start making that shift, then into tomorrow and the next day and the next day after that. That's what we want to focus on. So every week we're gonna be really keep building this thing up, but we got to start with step 1. Because if you don't get this down, the rest of it really don't matter. All right. So I hope you take some advice there. all right, and enjoy. Just you'll see you may not see it right away. The people around you will start seeing that transformation, and you may slip a little bit. But what you'll do is you'll correct yourself. All right, so that's what I got for you this week in Coach's Corner. We are excited. We're going to get this out to as many of you as we possibly can. But start with day one, tip number one, because like if that's too tough for you, you might as well subscribe to somebody else, right? You got to start there, and you can start small, but as long as you're starting, that's where we're at. So I promise you, we're going to bring the best content that we possibly can weekly. We are not going to try to recruit, in this segment. Coach's Corner is about helping you. I really don't care what company you're with, because there's a lot of good company, a lot of good agencies, a lot of good companies. There's just some not so great leaders, but even them, they're all good people. So let's see if we can improve here a little bit, and let's start with this. I'm Todd Turnwald with the Turnwald Group and Senior Life. Stay tuned next week. We will be staying on this topic of mindset, and really honing in on that. That way we can start taking the next steps, all right, to really elevating, where we're at. And we are mainly focusing on final expense, tips. I like I said, I've got some guys that do Medicare, but I'm mainly staying on this side of things. So I hope I can help you. If you have questions or things that you want me to touch on, put it in the comments, and I'll gladly do that. Again, I'm not promoting really. I know I've got my stuff. This is what I wear every day. But I don't care who you're with. I'd be happy to share what I know. All right. You guys have a great day. Let's win today. Let's win this week, and let's win the month. Let's go.